This is so magical and so beautiful up here, watching the sunset go down and just being surrounded by the jungle and hearing all of the sounds of the jungle. This journey first starts in the remote community of Carmelita in the El Tintal National Park. The people of Carmelita are so friendly, hospitable, and they've just opened up their homes to us, giving us meals, welcoming us when we got in late last night, and then breakfast this morning. They know this land like the back of their hands, and they are going to be our tour guides, taking us up to El Mirador, taking us to the Guatemalan jungle. And that is why I partnered with Local, a tour company that only works with local operators. And they make sure that 80% of your money is being put back into the local community. All right, there's no turning back now. Let's see if I survive the jaguars, leeches, spiders, and deadly snakes.
When there were wars, for example, they used to hide inside also the chaltuns, but it was have many multi-purpose. Water for their grains, for their provisions.
All right, so we've been hiking now for about 3 hours. Trail's been mostly so far super flat. It's been easy, but it is warm out. Thankfully, you're in shade for most of it. We're taking our lunch break now. We've got about another 2 hours left of the hike. So excited to dig into this. Yep. That's hitting the spot. So during this trek, it's not only El Mirador. We're gonna go across multiple different ancient Mayan cities. The first one is El Tintal. And what's really unique here is that there's no rivers, there's no natural flowing water here. So they had to create their own canals and their own reservoirs. And I am standing in right now what would have been El Tintal's reservoir or canal that went around their city. They believe it would have been about 8.5 meters deep. And the reason why they chose El Tintal location was because it was rich in limestone. And so they needed limestone to build their buildings and then also kind of line their reservoirs. They built the reservoir for water because it also led into other rivers, which led into another river, which led into the ocean, but also for protection from any invading tribes coming in. The canal went all the way around the city. So all over here, you're gonna find a bunch of ceramics that were obviously left behind. So I got a piece right here. It's really interesting, some of the big pieces you can see. And so pre-classical period, they were just gonna be red with no hieroglyphs on them. And then classical and post-classical period, they're gonna have hieroglyphs and other markings on them. And there's just hundreds of these ceramic pieces laying around. And just recently in May, archaeologists discovered that when El Mirador was abandoned, everyone came over here because they had such a good hydraulic system and a good water system, because they do speculate that most of the Mayans left their civilizations due to the drought. We have made it to camp. I am so excited to go refill my water and then also just take my tennis shoes off. That's what I'm looking forward to right now. Maybe splashing some cold water on my face. Looks like they've got maybe about 10 to 15 tents set up here, all underneath tarps. They've got the food here, drinks. First night's gonna be a good one. Now we're climbing Anakin Temple. It's got this really interesting rope and ladder to climb up. Sarah pretty much just fell and took almost everybody down. Definitely not the easiest thing to climb up. And you do want to be careful where you're putting your hands, because there are venomous snakes. And we just saw a big tarantula. And there's jumping spiders. Just all the things. We have 360-degree views of the rainforest. And really cool, we've got some pyramids back right over here. Can you see that one? Doesn't get better than this. This is so magical and so beautiful up here, watching the sunset go down and just being surrounded by the jungle and hearing all of the sounds of the jungle. You can thank Charlie over here for always keeping things entertaining.
That was Michelle.
It wasn't me. Just got done having dinner. It was so delicious. You're gonna have breakfast, lunch, and dinner all included in the tour. But now it's time to go do a little quick bucket shower and then go to bed. If you haven't ever had a bucket shower, it will be an interesting experience for you. Personally, I kind of actually enjoy bucket showers because, you know, you're saving water and like just refreshing. Good morning. It is 7 a.m. We're about to hit the trail. We've got 23 kilometers today before we get to El Mirador, but first we have another set of ruins and then we get to our camp tonight. So a big thing for me when I'm traveling is to make sure that no matter what activity I'm doing, there's no animal cruelty. So usually that means I don't engage in any animal tourism. But here at the El Mirador trek, they do use mules and horses to carry your gear for you and to carry the food that you're gonna need. And so at first I was kind of like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this, but I can without a doubt say that the horses are treated so nicely here. They are cared for beyond belief. There are 2 guides that are with us and their only job is to take care of the horses and be with the horses. All right, definitely not the safest of bridges. It's a decent drop beneath me right now. I am so happy we made it to El Mirador, the ancient city that ruled pretty much all of the Mayan civilization. Oh my gosh, we've got tonight here, we've got all day tomorrow here, and then the next morning we head back out. All right, we are going into our first temple here at El Mirador and we get to go inside of it and go check out the crypts. I'm so excited. So we got our headlamps on. This is so cool. Something really interesting and unique about this is you've got the pre-classical and then you've got the classical built up on top of it. And so what happened was in 150 AD, all the Mayans abandoned El Mirador and they went to the highlands of Guatemala, and then 500 years later, around 600 AD, they came back during the classical period, and that's when they rebuilt everything that's kind of up on top that you can see.
These tomb legs that we see here is where they found the bodies piled up. More than 37 bodies right here. They believe it were Mayans from the classical period, and after they use it as a tomb.
So now that we went inside one of them, now obviously we have to climb the other one. Something that I find really fascinating here at El Mirador is that there's no restoration done to any of the temples. It's all consolidation. So the difference is consolidation is just removing the dirt, and so everything you see here, the exact actual stones, everything is the exact same as how it was back when the Mayans lived here, versus Chichen Itza, Tikal, these other very well-known famous ones, they have restoration done. So archaeologists have actually kind of redesigned how they think it would have looked and kind of rebuilt a little bit. It's really fascinating when you're walking along the trail and you just stop and you see different tombs, which would have been someone's house, and then they buried their loved ones underneath it. And then you see different quarries, which is where they would have mined all of their limestone rocks. This one's cool because it's got the big rock in the center that you can see that they didn't get to. Things aren't totally cleared out. So like normally there wouldn't be all these trees here. So part of it kind of just feels like you're walking through the jungle, but like at one point this was a massive city. One thing that I'm absolutely loving is like when you're just walking through the jungle, you'll randomly hear howler monkeys in the distance going crazy. And then you'll look up and you'll see spider monkeys like throwing branches down at you. Spider monkeys are super territorial, which I didn't know about that until now. And then you'll see so many different birds flying through, so many different animals. It's really cool to be here. We still haven't seen any jaguars or pumas yet though, so maybe tomorrow morning. We have made it to Camp 2 and I'm ready for it. After 24 kilometers, my feet are hurting. We just got done having a much needed hour-long break at camp with some chips and some watermelon and juice. So now we've got some more energy and we're gonna go climb El Tigre temple and watch the sunset. I guess you can see an incredible viewpoint of Danta temple, which is the tallest temple in all of the Mayan civilization. Not much for a sunset up here tonight because we've got some storms rolling in. I am here end of June, which is definitely rainy season. So far, we've had great weather during the hike, but I think we might get A rainforest jungle proper rainstorm tonight. All right, today is the day. The whole reason why we spent the last 2 days trekking through the Guatemalan jungle so we can see El Mirador, wander around this ancient city, and really try and get a grasp of like what life would have been like thousands of years ago. So first up is the Jaguar Paw temple. This was going to be like where the high priest or like people in high up power, they kind of would use this temple as their office. Up top you can see a bunch of different rooms. What's really unique and interesting about this place is it has pre-classical and classical structures. So right back here is a mask. You can see the nose, the face, the 2 ears on either side, but in front of it a wall was built. And so the pre-classical period, they really believed in different gods, and so this mask was supposed to represent one of the gods. They believe it was the underworld god, but the classical period, they didn't really believe in it, so they worshiped more of their generals and their warriors, so they built a wall in front of it. And so Richard Hansen discovered it, and it's just really cool to see the different intricate details, and you can see the jaguar's paw with its claws, and you can even see some of the original paint. That dates back over 2,000 years ago. And right here on the other side, we have a perfect example of the difference between consolidation and restoration. Here is restoration, and they're using a Mexican technique to show exactly what it would have looked like back in the day. But on the other side of the stairs is where they just did consolidation, which is like removing some of the dirt. So impressive and cool, and like, could you imagine if this was like painted bright red? Right back here behind me, we have the story of the mythical book, the Popubu, I believe it's what it's called, and it is the ancient Mayan like Bible. It's their mythical gods that they believed in, and it's amazing like the detail that's in this. They have not rebuilt any of this, they just brushed away the dirt, and they found all of this hieroglyphs. Sitting right above this on this top ledge up here, that would have been the main Mayan road that connected the two cities. And so down in here were different pools, and so any of like the high priests or the royal family, they would come and bathe in here and like have their story of their gods right in front of them. Almost at the top of the lion temple, and this isn't even near what Danta's gonna be later today, and I'm exhausted. Pretty much every day you're going to be walking a bunch, you're going to be seeing a bunch of things, but the day you do El Mirador, you've got like a 3-hour break. We just got done with lunch, and now I'm just laying in a hammock looking up blue sky and the jungle and just taking a break, and it is so enjoyable. All right, we are back out and we're going to La Danta temple. It is the largest temple. It's got 3 different platform levels, and then on the very top level it has 7 pyramids sitting on top of it. It is massive. It is a 2-kilometer walk though from base camp, so we're gonna pass by a couple other structures on the way there. And what is crazy to me is that we're only seeing about like a fraction, like 10 to 20% of what El Mirador used to be, because a lot of it wasn't these big massive pyramids. It was just like houses and buildings made out of perishable materials, different straw and wood. And so you can see some of their bins where they used to store their grain and store any food deep down in the ground. It's really interesting. It's so crazy to see how after thousands of years the earth just like fills in a bunch of dirt, and the trees fall down and the leaves fall down and all just becomes matter. Now we're gonna keep heading up La Danta. We're on the 3rd platform here at Danta. The amount of stairs, my legs are shaking. This is the highest point. It stands 76 meters tall. The best part is like all the trees that are still sticking out of it. So they first started cutting some of the trees off, but then they realized that the tree roots were actually holding the structures together. We're gonna go climb the front of Danta. It's kind of risky. There's a trail on the back. Highly recommend you do it that way, but I have to do this. Yeah, this is not difficult in the slightest bit. Ooh, baby.
Easy.
Yes. I'm so glad I did that. Don't recommend it, but like recommend it. So when you're standing up here, all you see for so far is just like rainforest and jungle, making you feel like you're in the middle of nowhere with nothing around you. But at one point, this was the middle of civilization. And so that is it. That is the reason why we trekked through the jungle for the last 2 days, coming here to El Mirador, coming to the top of Danta Temple. When you come to Guatemala though, you have got to do this experience with local. Every single thing is thought out and taken care of in terms of the guides, the animal care, where you're staying, how you're getting through here, all the different temples you get to see and do. It really doesn't get better than this. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you next week.
Dos y tres.
Salud!